Hi, it's Matt Bisogno here from ggs.co.uk, and in this shortish video I'm going to do my now customary annual wrap-up of Cheltenham Festival from my own betting perspective. There have been some good ones, some not so good ones, and one pretty ugly one down the years. This one, well, you have to wait and see. You won't have to wait long. But yeah, I'm going to walk through what went well, what didn't go so well, where I think I was smart, and where I think I was, what's the opposite of smart? Stupid. There's a bit of everything in there. There's lots of indiscipline, because I like some action bets, and I'm generally unapologetic about that. There's a few takeaways as well for myself, but hopefully it's interesting anyway. Let's get to it. So it all started back on Tuesday, 13:30, with the Supreme Novices Hurdle and Slade Steel, which was a pretty good result for me, to be fair. I had previewed that race and selected it on the website, and I'd also backed it a couple of times, and I backed it with some other horses in a double and a treble. So this is the Supreme. You can see that I had taken a few darts early. I really liked this horse, Farron Glory, which fell at Aintree in a grade 1 there. Might not have been good enough in the end anyway, but it was a shame that that horse didn't get a chance to get to Cheltenham. Firefox, I thought, ran well, having backed it a couple of days before the festival. I then went off it completely when I was doing the preview, so that was that. I took a punt on Jericho ages ago, and well, Nicky Henderson's horses were obviously not right. That's why most of them got pulled up, or pulled out. So that was what it was. This King of Kingsfield is an interesting horse. He didn't end up running in the Supreme. He ended up running in the County Hurdle, and we'll talk about him in a minute. Anyway, we get to Slade Steel. I only bet these a few days earlier, and actually you can see that I bet Slade Steel at 8. This is decimal odds, so that's 7-1 and 6-1, and he went off 7-2 just a couple of days later, so the money really came for him. The argument I made in the preview was that Ballyburn was quite a strong favourite for the Supreme, and this horse was 7 lengths second to Ballyburn. So if you liked Ballyburn, you kind of had to like this guy. Had a good trainer as well, Henry de Bromhead, and yeah, just set up nicely for this race. In a race where the Willie Mullins group there was no clear leader in the pecking order. So anyway, that was a good start. I got a few quid there, which apologised for quite a few losers there and later on. In the Champion Hurdle, I didn't really have much going on there. I used a price push with 365 to shamelessly lay State Man, because I had a position on him, which I'll explain in a minute. In the Mares Hurdle, that went a bit bad for me. I had Love Envoi with 4 places, and she finished 5th. I backed Lantry Lady. I had Lantry Lady in a tipping competition each way, and my rival in head-to-head there, Emma Nagel, had Hispanic Moon at 40-1 each way, and Hispanic Moon beat Lantry Lady by a diminishing margin at the line for 3rd place. So well done, Emma. She beat me there. And then she went on through a couple of extra rounds as well, so well done to her. No good for me. Marie's Rock, another Nicky pulled up. You can't really read much into that. In the Fred Boodles, every year I want to find the winner of the Fred Winter, the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle every year, and every year I take a group of Wise Guy horses at big prices, and pretty much every year, actually last year I think I backed the winner. Jazzy Matty, there we go. Yeah, so that justifies me cracking on for a few more years. But no good this year. And then in the National Hunt Chase, I was sort of very, very much one-eyed here. I was all about Anthony Honeyball's Kilbeg King, which I thought ran quite a nice race, actually. Maybe didn't quite stay in the very wet ground, and was not going to be a match for Corbett's King anyway, but might have got third on another day, which would have been all right from a punting perspective and better from a cheering perspective as well. I did have a sly each way on Mr. Van Gogh about a week ago. Not that made much of a dent into other investments. To Wednesday and the Gallagher. Ballyburn was, of course, the horse. Another price push there, which helped to ensure the double that I spoke about. And I'll show you that in a second. I've got all the multiples down at the bottom of this tab. Not much else to report there. In the Brown Advisory, I took a couple of horses. Again, this is sort of dirty each way, if you like. I backed Montes and Sandor Clegane about a week ago when it looked like the Brown Advisory was going to cut up into a small field, which it did, and I had 3 places here. Of course, Sandor Clegane gave me what I deserved, and he finished 4th. Montes ran a nice race. I've actually backed him for the Gold Cup next year, so we'll see how that goes. Bit of a guess, but he was 33 to 1, and I thought he wasn't far behind Factor File, and he was finishing well. And Factor File is now 4 to 1 for the Gold Cup, so I know which of those two I wanted to back. Beacon Edge was a bit of a guess, and I backed it with 8 places. Of course, it finished 9th. Something of a recurring theme with these place bets. Captain Guinness was good. Didn't back it a long time ago, only about a week ago. Maybe even slightly less than that, at 16 to 1. Went off a lot shorter. El Fabiolo, again, I was ensuring a position that I had, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I was short stacked in my Betfair account at this point, hence the small lay, which is, that was a miss. That was I definitely should have managed this position better, because he was a very cheap lay. I really fancied Cocoa Beach. Of course, it's easy to really fancy one when the race doesn't happen, as this one didn't. So that was money back. No damage done. In the Grand Annual, I just pretty much followed our tipster in there with Hardy Desoy and Liberty Hunter. Liberty was second. First would have been better. I like the Masked Marvels because we bought a Masked Marvel yearling and syndicated her. So I'm a cheerleader for Muscada, who is a Masked Marvel. She ran well. She won this race last year. She finished 7th in a big field this year as well. Sam Watt ran quite well. Unexpected Party was a tenner that I had on the track, just because all my mates were with that one, and I didn't want them all to be cheering while I wasn't. Excuse me. So that was that. You can see there was quite a lot of Betfair exchange action late on Wednesday. Most of it very guessy, and pretty much all of it missing its target, with the exception of the Unexpected Party. The Yellow Clay was my best guess in a race where I had no idea. Really, I overstaked that. Yep. The bumper's not really a race to bet in, I don't think. Not for me anyway, because I have even less idea than usual about what's going to happen. On Thursday, I quite liked Jello in the Turners, and when I was doing the review, I ended up coming around to Facile Vega. Quite warmed to him, and I suddenly became against the UK horses, or at least the main UK horses, for different reasons. I pretty much got this race wrong. Facile Vega, I was worried Facile Vega wouldn't stay, and that, if we knew Facile Vega would stay, he'd have been a shorter price. But I don't think it was just stamina that beat him. I don't think he was good enough on the day for whatever reason, maybe the ground. Anyway, Jello ran a nice race, finished third, and I ended up taking a few darts at longer prices. Iroko was another one that I didn't really fancy, but the others were all on it, so I wanted to cheer it if it was going to win. but there wasn't much for me there. I was wrong about Ginny's Destiny, and I was wrong about Grey Dawning, and actually thought they were two pretty good staying performances at the trip, and hard to argue they weren't the best two horses in the race on the day, at least. Potemps was another guess up, as with all the handicaps. Nothing back for me there. Cuthbert Dibble was third. Did I have the second? No. Ryanair. I backed Banbridge because I was really surprised they kept him in the race. I thought with the ground, although I know it wasn't as slow as some people thought it might be, including me, it was still pretty testing, and it wasn't his surface. I'm sure we'll see a different Banbridge at Aintree, and I imagine he might be half a point bigger than he should be as a consequence of this run. Conflated ran a nice race, wasn't good enough. Actually jumped much better. I think that's probably his trip, 2.5, so he might also go to Aintree if he didn't have too hard a race here. He's been running at 3 miles here to 4, and not quite getting home, just being tired at the end of his races. Side Burley without Teapu each way, so that was 4th place would have paid out on that one. Of course, he finished 5th. Teapu, just free bets here. I didn't really like the Stayers Hurdle as a betting race this year. I love Teapu, Mars Marvel again, and I thought he was by far the most obvious winner, but I'd learned a lesson already by this point about going short in these races, which we'll see in a minute. So I just used a couple of free bets there to get a couple of quid. Tote remarkably pay out the stake money, the free bet stake money, in cash as well, so that was quite nice, unexpected. In the Mares Novices Hurdle, another position here which I really needed Jade de Grugy to be in the first 3. At least I was smart enough to get some back there when she finished 4th, and that's another multiple that we'll come to. Birdie or Bust was a Henry play, Henry de Bromhead. Just really, most of the things that he runs at this meeting have a chance, and this one was another in that category. It was sort of a related bet with the Jade de Grugy lay as well, because if Jade was going to be out of the frame, it was fairly likely that Birdie would be one of the horses to push her out of the frame. So they were kind of related in a way. Majestic Force was another one. The same kind of principle, but she finished only 5th. She was a Henry as well. Bit of TriCast action that's still running, and in the Kim Muir, really, I just wanted to have a bet in the race, and I didn't have a clue, so I bet the sneaky JP McManus, which won half the track actually in a 20 million runner race. 11-4 in the morning, returned 13-8 in a race like that, and it won like a 13-8 shot. Not really sure what to say about that, so I won't say anything more. Friday, let's go to Friday. A busy day, and I had taken a position early on Marshborough and Mighty Bandit, and to a lesser degree Cargese. Mighty Bandit, everything had gone wrong for him since I'd taken the position, and he pulled up, which was disappointing even given the things that had gone wrong. I'd backed Bunting on the day. I saw very strong support for that. It looked like they thought that was the best of the Willie Mullins mob, and Marshborough was really weak on the day. I'd backed it at 8s a couple of weeks ago, I suppose, and obviously Sagino came out, which made a huge dent in the market. He went off 6-1 Marshborough, which was a lot bigger than I thought he would, and he was a good winner. He had to be classy to be in the finish in the shake-up, and then he had to battle to beat Cargese, who he was giving £7 to as a filly. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good performance, and there's a lot of chat that he's a horse for the future, so he'd be one definitely to keep in mind going forwards. Salveride had a cheeky tenner on after Chepstow when he won the Grade 2 finale, and he ran a brilliant race in conditions that ought to have suited He was third. That was a great run. I think they like this horse for the future as well, so that's an exciting effort for them. Stormheart was only fifth. I might have said he was fourth in one of my emails. That was a mistake. Anyway, it didn't pay either way. This was a prop bet with 365, either or to win. They finished first and second, so that was that. Although I'm sure I could have dutched the two at their SPs and got paid out more than this, because Absurd drifted notably. By Your Side, I just fancied this horse to sort of run on into the frame at a big price. He went off 80 to 1, and I backed him with 9 places at 18 to 5 for the place. Guess where he finished? 10th. Yuck. Pied Piper, I took a shorter price to get all the places, and he ran a great race in third. One thing I've noted about the county hurdle is that a classy horse, often with former champion hurdle form, runs into the frame every year from sort of Arctic Fire and on. I think Arctic Fire actually won it, so that's something to keep an eye on in the county hurdle, which is otherwise pretty inscrutable to me. Now, the Albert Bartlett, this was the race for me and for many others. 21st of February, I sent a note to some pals saying you need a certain profile horse to win this race, and the profile is essentially horses that are getting beaten in small fields where something has showed a better turn of foot from them at the end of the race. The Albert Bartlett is not a race where a turn of foot is required. Generally, it's normally a race where an absolute warrior is required. A double hard bastard, if you like. And I had taken a view that these 4, Answer to Cave, Chigarin, Johnny Who, and Stellar Story were worth a guess, and particularly Stellar Story, so I backed it twice. And that worked out well for me as Stellar Story in 1. On the day, I did have I really liked the profile of the Jukebox Man in the same sort of context. Excuse me. And he ran, well, he was very unlucky to get beaten by Stellar Story, who just outstayed him and outgrinded him up the hill, outground him. Anyway, yeah, that was a very good result. The Gold Cup was not a very good result. The Gold Cup was a race where I got quite a bit right and got paid out on nothing. So I'd back Correct Rambler without Galopin and without Galopin and Fast or Slow, but not each way, all to win. And of course, Correct finished third behind Galopin de Champ and Jerry Colomb, who was not in my calculation. So Jerry caused those ones to go west. I backed Fast or Slow. He decided that he didn't need his jockey anymore. I backed L'Empresse without Galopin. Again, win only. Could have backed it each way. He finished fourth. And I backed Nassalam. That bit I got wrong. Nassalam, I actually thought he'd run. I thought he was sure to run into the frame. And I'm not sure whether they looked after him a little bit with the Grand National in mind, or if he just wasn't nearly good enough. I'm sort of erring towards the latter. Although the other thing in his excuses column is that even though he won very, very easily at Christmas in the Welsh National, he definitely would have had a hard race there. So but he's a horse to give another chance to. But this was a disappointing showing. Shishkin obviously was another Nicky to pull out. Premier Magic, last year's Fox Hunters winner, was not really sighted this year. Couldn't quite go with them in the ground. Limerick Lace was a good alternative to Dino Blue in the Mare's Chase, and that went well for me, in spite of a 10p rule 4. Boo. Marsh Wren was though I say it myself, was a great shout. Ran into third place at 28 to 1 and gave a bold sight all the way round. Zenta was not a great shout. That was an anti-post guess. She ran in the county hurdle, I think. So not a 2.5 mile chase. She ran in a 2 mile hurdle. Answer to Cave, who was one of my wise guys for the Albert Bartlett, ended up in the Martin Pipe, where he ran fourth. I'd also, as soon as I saw Stella Story was entered for this race, I had to back it there as well, non-runner, no bet, so I got my 15 quid back there. And then this was quite late on Friday afternoon, and I was quite full of Guinness by then. So I just followed a couple of other people in with rubbish bets, and didn't get much of my money back as a consequence. So that was they were the winning each way singles, and then I did a little bit of multiple action, and this is where kind of the pain was. There was some without the favourite stuff and some handicap stuff. Actually nearly got my money back on these handicap guesses. But I'd had a big, a few doubles. I had Factor File and El Fabiolo. Obviously that went badly. But mainly, let's talk about the good first. So I'd had this Sladesdale Ballyburn. Essentially, it's a related contingency double. So they finished first and second. Ballyburn beat Sladesdale in the Grade 1 prep race. And they were running in different races here. So I ended up getting 11-1 on that. Just a little bit more than 11-1. And the third horse in that race was King of Kingsfield, who ran in the County Hurdle. And that was 66-1, that treble. So I was cheering King of Kingsfield for about 750 quid. Of course, what I missed when I was doing my dirty related contingency bet was that the fourth horse in this race was Absurd, and of course Absurd won the County Hurdle, and he won at 12-1. So Anti-Post, I think he was about 9-1. So this treble would have been north of 100-1, the treble with Sladesdale, Ballyburn and Absurd rather than King of Kingsfield. So kind of one that got away there, which is a bit frustrating. A few other bits and pieces. State Man with Lossy Mouth actually had a third horse in there, just running the other day before the festival into a treble, paid 6-1. But the one that really hurt was this one here. Not really my betting style at all, but I just had it in my head that State Man and El Fabiolo couldn't get beaten when I made this bet. And it was 11-10 the double, and again, like, one of the takeaways is that was a value bet. If you compare the odds that I got, which were greater than evens, with a 2-5 and a 2-9, that double definitely paid a lot lower than the odds I took. So it was a value bet, but having reviewed the Champion Chase and seen El Fabiolo's jumping frailties, I was really it was in my head after State Man that I would cash that out, or at least hedge it much more robustly than I eventually did. And of course I was busy, and staff didn't have the funds in the Betfair account at that moment. So all of it could have been done better, wasn't done better, and I said sayonara to that lump of my bankroll in that moment. That is definitely a lesson learned there, because if you read my preview of that race, you'd know how concerned I was about El Fabiolo's jumping. Jackpots and place pots, nothing of any note to report. Got a dead heat for most Irish winners in a special there. That wasn't my idea, it was a mate Hammer's idea. Well done to him. Not much else to report there, I don't think. So where did that all leave us? Let's go over here a little bit, and I've got all these kind of tabular breakdowns of the action. So the management summary is I staked 3,700 and I got back 4,400. So I won 700. Good. Very happy with that. I mean, to be honest, I need to be pretty clear about this. I'm doing this for fun. I do it for the challenge of it. Obviously I want to win. We all want to win, but the most important thing is to kind of, can I beat the market? Can I have something to cheer day to day? And yeah, absolutely. In the end, can I come out in front? And so you can see down here, there's a lot of tabs. Maybe I'll share this spreadsheet on the blog. That they don't all have a black number in here. In fact, I think it might have been 2020, when there was that was bad. I mean, it was literally it was it was just an awful week in 2020. So there've been some nothing quite like that, but that was a very painful reversal that year, and lessons were learned. So anyway, this year, Tuesday started steady away. Slade Steel saved the day. Wednesday was a good day. Thursday was a steady enough day, and Friday was a great day. On all the specials and so on, that was bad this year. But historically, that's not. Historically, I've sort of broken even. By bookmaker, my tote betting play spots and jackpots last week were no good in the main, and again, it's that those kind of multi-race bets, especially if you're trying to hit one, they are feast and famine, so you have to expect to drop a few quid in the famine years and to get a few quid in the feast years. This was neither really, but it was food was hard to come by, to labour that analogy. Hills was good. Betfair Exchange, no good. 365 was essentially that El Fabiolo double was singularly responsible for that. MGM, I doubt that account will stay open for long, but it was great fun through Cheltenham. They had an unbelievable number of specials that were all worth taking. So that was good. Corals, I beat Corals. I mean, this is like just about the first time ever that's happened. So that's worth a small boom. Just an account that I can never win with. If they're top price, then I'm wrong generally. Unibet, yeah, that was stellar story. Didn't have much going on with them, but I did have that. Nothing with Victor this year. Only a tenner with Fred. Paddy, a little bit. Can only get bits and pieces on with Paddy. But I managed to get something that paid for the losers and left a bit on the table, and Sky a little bit there as well. So overall came to that number. I just added one in this year. This is the first time you can see, and I think it's quite instructive actually. The vast majority of my betting at the Cheltenham Festival is in the non-handicaps. And the reason for this is because I absolutely unequivocally, without any shadow of a doubt, know that in the handicaps, I haven't got a clue. I still bet 650 quid in the handicaps, and I was lucky enough to get most of it back. But I am guessing really, really badly guessing, scrambling essentially, just for a bit of action. And that's arguably too much action. If this number here, if this, P&L bottom line number is your alpha and omega, if it was mine, I would have 0 bets in handicaps, and I wouldn't bet in the champion bumper either. But it's not mine. I want to watch the races. I want to cheer something. I want to enjoy the action. And this is the price I pay. This year it was 170 something quid, and whatever I wasted in the bumper, which would take that over 200 on turnover of 3,700. So, yeah, I consider that a fair price to pay for my ignorance and my desire for action. And again, I'm unapologetic about both those things. I think as punters, we need to know who we are. We need to understand what's important to us, and we need to be a bit more open, a bit more rounded in our perspective than just P&L. P&L is important to all of us to a lesser or greater degree, and to me, it's not the most important thing. If I needed 700 quid from, the hours I've put into this over, weeks and months, this works out at I'm not going to use that analogy. It works out very far below the living wage. And you couldn't possibly call this work, right? If you were doing this for work, you're doing the wrong thing. So this is not, it's not exclusively work to me. It's fun, and joy and a cerebral challenge, a test, solve these puzzles, all of that great stuff. And to come out of it in front, even if it was £15, 15p, would be fine for me. 0.00 would be fine for me. Minus a couple of £100 or £500 even would be acceptable, because I'm not trying to get money here. I'm trying to have fun and, succeed in the challenge. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that you see the world similarly when it comes to things like the festival. I know a lot of Gigi's readers do, and that's a very good point at which to stop this quite long in the end video. But hopefully there's something nutritious in here for you, something to think about for yourself in terms of your own betting. I think it's really worth keeping records like this if you don't, because you can see what you did right, you can see what you did wrong, and there's value in both sides of that coin. So anyway, that's enough. Mapsonia saying thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a fantastic Cheltenham Festival, maybe came out in front, but most importantly enjoyed the ride, and goodbye for now.